Good evening. You're watching Just the News. I'm Amita Balachandra. We have a lot lined up for you today. We start off with the announcement that's coming from Reserve Bank of India, where it said that it's raised repo rate by 40 basis points to 4.40% with immediate effect after an emergency meeting. Now, the repo rate has been increased for the first time since August 2018. The central bank also hiked the cash reserve ratio by 50 basis points. Now, to give you a bit of a context, when banks need loans, they approach RBI, and so the rate at which RBI lends money to banks is called the repo rate. Now, RBI Governor Shaktikanta Das has said that there have been a number of decisions that prompted the RBI to raise the repo rate. For instance, geopolitical tensions, high crude oil prices, shortage of commodities globally, and in view of rising inflation, the repo rate has now been increased. By hiking the repo rate and the CRR, the RBI is aiming to keep inflation, which is already close to 7%, at its desired level and control and monitor money flow into the banking system at a time when the global economy is facing turbulent times as well. But what does this mean for consumers like you and I? For instance, EMIs on home, vehicle and other personal and corporate loans are likely to go up, as interest rates on loans could then start increasing as well, considering the repo rate has now been increased. Deposit rates, however, are also likely to rise, and so that is likely to be a benefit for FD investors. Now, following this announcement, the Indian equity benchmarks plunged sharply. Sensex fell by 1,307 points and Nifty settled at 16,678. Now, all of the 15 sector gauges compiled by the NSE were trading in the red. Moving away from this big story now to the Hanuman Chalisa row that's happening in the state of Maharashtra. MNS chief Raj Thackeray in a press conference has now said that this is not a one-day issue, and he was referring to the announcement or the speech that he gave in the Aurangabad rally. He said that it will go on until the government addresses the situation, according to what the Supreme Court has said about loudspeakers. Now, in that rally, he had made a speech and said that the state government must take down all illegal loudspeakers, and he had given a deadline of the 3rd of May. He had said that from the 4th of May, Hanuman Chalisa would be played. He has now said that it is not a religious issue at all and a social issue instead. He said, and I quote, "If mosques don't follow, guidelines, then Hanuman Chalisa will be played at double volume. Students and ill people suffer because of loudspeakers. Is your religion bigger than people?" End quote. Now, throughout the day, over 250 to 260 MNS workers have been detained so far, and this is across the state, according to reports. Aurangabad police has now also registered a case against Mr. Thackeray for allegedly delivering a provocative speech 2 days ago. Now, Mumbai police have issued a notice to the MNS chief under section 149 of the CRPC, invoked to prevent a cognizable offence. Security also has been tightened, not just in Mumbai but in other parts of the state of Maharashtra. Earlier, responding to what Raj Thackeray had said, Mumbai mayor had said that if MNS workers resort to any unlawful activity, they will have to spend their lives attending court dates. In the meantime, a Mumbai court today has granted bail to MP Navneet Rana and her MLA-husband Ravi Rana. Now, the court allowed their release on a bond of 50,000 rupees. They were arrested on the 23rd of April on charges including sedition for announcing the chanting of Hanuman Chalisa at the private residence of Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray's house in Mumbai. Moving on from this now on to what's happening in Jodhpur. As many as 141 people have been arrested so far in connection with communal clashes that took place on Monday night over the hoisting of a flag, and this was right before Eid. In Rajasthan, Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot's constituency, Jodhpur, where a curfew now has continued for the second consecutive day on Wednesday as well. Now, according to ANI, Jodhpur Police Commissioner has said, and I quote, "Right now, the situation is under control. As such, no incidents have erupted in the city since yesterday noon, end quote. Now, he also said that adequate police forces have been deployed in the area and senior officials are monitoring the situation firsthand. Nearly 1,000 police personnel, according to reports, have now been deployed to maintain law and order as well. Meanwhile, the opposition BJP on Wednesday boycotted a peace committee meeting which was convened to ease the tension in Jodhpur. In the meantime, Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot accused the BJP of diverting attention, and this was an interview that he gave to NDTV a little while ago. Speaking to NDTV earlier, Mr. Gehlot said, and I quote, "This is the agenda of the BJP because inflation, unemployment has gone so far up. They cannot control it, so they are doing this deliberately to divert attention," end quote. Also in the news, Vadgam MLA Jignesh Mevani has now called for a Gujarat Bandh on the 1st of June if, he says, the state government does not withdraw cases that have been registered against Dalits during a public agitation in 2016. Now, to give you a bit of a context, in 2016, 4 Dalit men in Somnath district were stripped and killed by an upper caste mob for skinning a dead cow. Now, the incident triggered protests across Gujarat, and Mr. Mevani became the face of the Dalit agitation. Also in the news, and this is a little concerning, a SpiceJet flight operating on a Boeing 737 MAX aircraft from Chennai to Durgapur in West Bengal on Tuesday evening turned back to land to its origin spot shortly after takeoff. Now, this is according to the Indian Express, which has quoted sources saying that there was a glitch in the engine. Now, this is the second such incident with SpiceJet involving its Boeing 737 MAX plane, which is equipped with CFM LEAP engines. Now, in December, because of a similar glitch, according to the Indian Express, a Kolkata-bound flight had returned to Mumbai as well. Now, according to the DGCA officials, the aircraft has been grounded at Chennai airport and is currently being investigated. On Sunday, a SpiceJet flight from Mumbai to Durgapur encountered severe turbulence, and those videos went viral online with passengers panicking, including that incident leading to 14 passengers being injured as well. According to India Today now, the Directorate General of Civil Aviation is doing a full safety audit of the entire SpiceJet aircraft fleet following these back-to-back incidents as well. Moving on to COVID updates at this point, Serum Institute of India has reduced the price of each dose of the Covovax vaccine from 900 rupees to 225 rupees, excluding taxes. Now, this comes after it was included on the Coven portal for vaccination of age group 12 to 17 years of age at private vaccination centers. Also, according to the civil registration system data released by the Office of the Registrar General, the number of registered deaths in India has risen by 6.2% from 76.4 lakh in 2019 to 81.2 lakh in 2020. Now, it was the first year of the pandemic. According to the Union Health Ministry, about 1.49 lakh people had died because of coronavirus in 2020 alone. Also, in China, after Shanghai's strict lockdown, its capital city, Beijing, is now under semi-lockdown as well. Most metro stations, besides schools, restaurants and businesses, have also shut down to curb the Omicron spread. Now, COVID testing for 21 million people has also been ramped up. Moving on to business news right now. This was the biggest story of the day today. The initial public offering of Life Insurance Corporation of India opened for subscription today, and that is set to close on the 9th of May. According to NSE data, the LIC issue was subscribed 0.64 times. The policyholders segment was subscribed 1.87 times, while the employees portion was subscribed 1.08 times. Now, the price band of LIC IPO is fixed at 902 to 949 rupees per share. The company is offering a discount of 60 rupees per share to its policyholders and 45 rupees apiece for retail investors and LIC employees as well. Let's now take a look at what's happening across the globe. According to South Korea's military, North Korea has fired ballistic missile towards its east coast. Now, the launch, which makes North Korea's 14th weapons test this year, comes days after North Korean leader Kim Jong-un vowed to bolster his nuclear arsenal at the fastest possible pace. Meanwhile, it's day 70 of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. European Commission President unveiled a sixth set of proposed EU sanctions against Russia. She said that EU would seek to end its dependency on Russian oil by the end of 2022. Major Russian banks will also be disconnected from the international payments messaging system SWIFT. Now, EU also pledged additional military support for Moldova amid fears that war could spread to Ukraine's neighbor as well. In the meantime, this is what's happening in Ukraine. A new attempt to evacuate residents from the southern port city of Mariupol and surrounding areas is also taking place. Mariupol is one of the worst affected cities in Ukraine. Moving on, Russia has banned 63 Japanese citizens from entering the country indefinitely for engaging an unacceptable rhetoric against Moscow. Now, Japan has imposed sanctions on Russia over its invasion of Ukraine. Those barred from entering Russia include Japanese PM, among others as well. Moving on to sports news right now, sports journalist Boria Majumdar has been banned for 2 years by the BCCI for threatening and intimidating Indian wicketkeeper Wriddhiman Saha. Now, the ban includes not getting press accreditation for any matches in India, an embargo on interviewing centrally contracted players, and no access to any of the cricket boards and state units facilities. Earlier, Saha had shared screenshots on social media of a chat between him and the journalist. Now, the journalist warned him that he would not be interviewed in the future because he had not returned a journalist's calls about committing to an interaction. Now, according to the Indian Express, Majumdar had earlier said that he would file a defamation suit against Saha. The journalist had also denied any threats or hostile action. One piece of good news before we wrap things up here on this bulletin: Bengaluru-based neobanking startup Open has become India's 100th unicorn. Now, a unicorn is a company valued over $1 billion. Open raised $50 million in its Series D investment round led by IIFL. Now, it was founded in 2017. That brings us to the end of this bulletin. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.